Greetings, my name is Celades. I'm an Argonian from Blackmarsh, and this is the story of my time in Skyrim. I was captured by the Imperial Army as I tried to enter Skyrim, as I got mixed in with some Stormcloak rebels during an ambush. I'd come to Skyrim to set up an alchemy shop, and even though I had spent some time in the Imperial Army as a guard, they just wouldn't listen. They thought I was mixed in with the Stormcloak somehow. Fortunately, the Divines decided that my time in Skyrim wasn't coming to an end, but was just beginning. One of the guards noticed that I wasn't like the rest of the Stormcloaks and decided to keep an eye on me during the chaos.
With me, prisoner. Let's go. Come on.
I had studied magic a little bit in my youth, but didn't really have a lot of training, but just enough to create simple light spells. Like I said, I'd been a guard in the Imperial Army. Nothing serious, but some training. And of course, I knew how to pick locks because I'm an Argonian.
Come on, this way.
The guard helping me was quite experienced, and I did my best to help him with my limited training, as the keep was full of Stormcloaks. And when we got past the Stormcloaks, there was a cave full of giant spiders. We wandered through the caves long enough that we eventually found an opening that we could use as a way out. I wasn't sure where that dragon was going, but I'm glad it was away from us.
Looks like he's gone for good this time. These are the Guardian Stones. 3 of the 13 ancient standing stones that dot Skyrim's landscape. Go ahead, see for yourself.
I'd always heard that I'd been born under the stars of the mage.
Well,
But this is the first time I ever thought it was true.
Come, you two must be hungry. Sit down and I'll get you something to eat.
Hadvar brought us to his uncle in Riverwood,
Big mystery.
and they asked me to go to Whiterun and tell them about the dragon.
So, you were at Helgen. You saw this dragon with your own eyes?
I learned of
The
a
Jarl
certain
and
stone
his court
tablet said to
wizard
be housed in
asked a
Bluestone
favor of
Valley.
me.
A dragon
They wanted me to go to
said
the
contain a
local
map of
ancient
dragon
Nord
burials.
ruin and retrieve a magical stone. There was no way I was going to do that. I'm not prepared for something that dangerous. So I decided to lay low and see if I could go to Solitude and set up my shop near there.
Honest gold for honest work.
The locals were helpful in giving me some items, and I was able to make some soups and stews to help me with the trip. Also, I was able to pick up some loose change to pay for the carriage.
Need a ride? Where do you want to go? Climb and back, and we'll be off.
When I arrived in Solitude,
Tell them he didn't do it.
there was quite a crowd looking at a
Far you need to go.
execution.
Go home and
I
stay.
knew that I'd be safe here because people were going to be too busy worrying about the war to see what I was up to.
Tell her that her uncle is stumped.
So I decided to visit a local alchemy shop
You're a
and see if I
traveler,
could
correct?
get some help getting set
you
up in
been
my
to
alchemy
Whiterun?
store.
I'm waiting.
Angeline, the owner, wanted to find out what
Generally
happened to her
posting
daughter who had
information
been in the
is
Imperial
need to
Army.
know only.
So I went and asked one of the officers
If you
about her
want to know that
whereabouts.
bad, then fine.
Unfortunately, she'd
I
caught
told her.
in an ambush near
I
Whiterun.
told her the Imperial Army would.
Angeline was very upset, but was grateful that I had asked and agreed to help me as much as she could. She suggested I cross the Karth River to Marthal, which was a icy swamp, and she thought an Argonian like me might do well there to set up a base to collect ingredients. I could make potions and then sell them to her or the other alchemists in Skyrim, and I probably wouldn't be bothered too much, except by the creatures that live there. If I was going to live nearby, I needed to earn the trust of the locals. So I decided to go around asking for jobs or favors so they could get to know me a little bit better.
Please, go about your business.
I bet
Of course, some of the Nords have a funny way of making friends.
Just your own two hands. Weapons and magic are out. Now let's see what you got.
Thankfully, I had learned to box a little in the army, so I was able to earn the respect of the local warrior named Benar.
That was a punch. You're a real fighter. I like that.
He might come in
Whoever
handy
need
in
my
the
steel
future.
by your side, you just ask.
My brother is.
The daughter of the Jarl needs someone to
He
go to
has trouble
Whiterun
focusing
and deliver a
his
letter
attention on
to the
things.
priestess of
We were
Kinnereth.
taking him to the Temple of Kinnereth.
I
in
thought that was
Whiterun,
something I could
just
manage.
so the healers could make sure he was in good health. And they say he's fine. Are you heading to Whiterun?
There is,
Also, one of the
yes.
bodyguards of the
Worried
Jarl
about Idgrin.
needed a letter
And I
to
don't
deliver it
know
in
what to do.
Solitude. I thought I'd take it to the same officer that had helped me with
Let me know if there's
Angeline.
anything else you need.
Well now, that is something. Hand it over, please. Oh no. I hadn't heard from Gorm for a while, so I'd hoped he'd given up his little scheme.
Fish and fowl. Treat yourself and your kin to a choice cut of steak or a tender rack of ribs.
Hello, child of Kinnereth.
Ripe fruit and fresh vegetables
Yorik's
for
sister?
sale?
Poor child. Magic runs deep in that family's bloodline. It's not always a blessing.
Now that I had a place to store things, I went by the alchemy shop in Whiterun and see if they had any extra ingredients that I could use to start making potions with. I remembered there being a large number of books in the Jarl's Keep, so I decided to go through the books and see if I could find more information about local potions and alchemy ingredients, as well as any lore or stories that I could pick up along the way. I decided to stay in Whiterun overnight, and in the morning I went out hunting for alchemy ingredients near the city of Whiterun. So tundra cotton, butterflies, honeycomb, lavender especially.
You speak to a vigilant of Stendar. Our order was founded after the Oblivion Crisis.
I had heard of the vigilance of
Dedicate our lives
Stendar,
to facing
but I've
the
never
threat
met
of
one.
Daedra wherever they appear.
Found some nernroot near the river, as well as mountain flowers of all colors. Benor, the warrior that I had fought in Morthal, came along to help me if I got into any trouble. Also, he was very helpful in carrying some of the things I found. Farmers in the area had too much crops because they weren't able to sell them, so I was able to help myself. Also, I was able to find some random treasure that someone had stored, probably thieves or bandits. And there seemed to be some trouble around this watchtower, but the guards seemed to be managing pretty well.
Enough!
Benner and I helped ourselves to the bandits' armor, though, with the guard's agreement.
Lead on, then.
Need a ride? Where do you want to go?
When I got back to Solitude, I noticed there were tons of flowers and moss and other things that you make alchemy ingredients. So I went around and grabbed as many as I could. And being Argonian, some of those might have belonged to others, but they weren't watching them too carefully. Also, I noticed there were some hawks flying around. And their feathers and their beaks make excellent alchemy ingredients. Next morning, I decided to go collecting around Solitude itself, as I saw lots of thistle branch and mountain flowers, mushrooms, and other ingredients. As I got to higher altitude, I noticed that the flora changed quite a bit, and there were snowberries, but still some blue mountain flowers.
Oh, hello.
Also, I was able to help a local farmer, and they allowed me to take some items that they had laying around. I went down the road to Dragon's Bridge, a small village, and they had similar thistle branch and other flowers.
Climb and back.
I had heard
We'll be off.
that there was different flora in Markarth, but I need to stay overnight
The Silverblood Inn has plenty of strong drink and clean
so I can
food.
collect in the daytime.
This is the Silverblood Inn.
Markarth was known for its moss and also juniper berries. And I grabbed as many as I could.
You know you can afford a septim or two.
I decided to leave Benar back in Morthal and go collecting on the north shore for slaughterfish eggs and nerdroot. As an Argonian, I can use the water to keep me safe from the larger creatures in the northern shore of Skyrim. I came across this mysterious fire, maybe an experiment by a mage, but I did find a strange book. I wonder what that was about. I had collected enough ingredients that I felt like it was a good time to start making some potions. So I mixed Blue Mountain flower with lavender and hanging moss. I made a big set of potions to sell to Angeline. then headed to Morthal because I thought I had enough money to buy some land.
If you've business with the Jarl, I'd ask that you speak to me first. There aren't any houses for sale in Morthal, but if you're interested, I could sell you land in the Hold where you could build your own house. Excellent. We're glad to have you as a landowner in Hjalmarch. Here's the title to your steading.
I gathered up Benor, and we headed to the northern part of the swamp where the land I had bought was. There were just a few creatures we cleared out. Someone had set up a camp there before, but they had left. And so the land was mine to build what I wanted there. I used the old name Winston Manor. Doesn't sound as good as anything else.